Welcome to Women Insurepreneurs, the podcast empowering female insurance agents to thrive in the industry. Join us as we dive into the world of insurance entrepreneurship, share success stories, and provide invaluable insights through the lens of female entrepreneurship. Let's unleash the power of women in insurance together. All right, welcome back to another episode of Women Insurepreneurs. This is a special one. We are still in the May series where we are honoring our veterans. So I'm excited. We have both Bryan and Steph with us today. So welcome again to the podcast. And would you mind introducing yourselves and a little bit about your background and what do you do?
You go first, Steph.
I'll go first. My name is Stephanie, and my background is basically I've been in the insurance business since 2011 as a broker, health and life. And before that, I basically was a dance teacher full time. I've been coaching dance since 19 years old, and I actually still coach 3 hours a week because I love it so much. So that's my background.
That's awesome. All kind of dance?
I went to college for ballet and modern, and I teach pretty much tap, ballet, jazz, contemporary. I'm trying to do all of it. No like Latin or ballroom or anything like that, but yep, pretty much do all of it. I love it. I always say if like I won the lottery, I would open up a nonprofit dance studio and just do it for free. So
That's awesome. I love that.
Sweet.
Bryan?
Yep. So, my name's Bryan. I am Stephanie's partner in business and life. Basically, I do whatever she tells me to do. Yeah. So I've been in the insurance industry only about a year and a half now. Before that, I am the veteran of the two of us. So thanks for having me on. But yeah, before that, I did the military stuff and law enforcement career, mostly a lot of investigations, fraud investigations, and things like that. So,
Absolutely.
So thank you for your service.
oh, thank you.
And I was just curious what branch in the military?
So I did 13 years total. Most of that was in the Florida National Guard with 1 year long deployment overseas.
Oh, nice. I was Army, 14 years Army. Where were you stationed overseas?
We were in Kuwait, so Fort
Nice.
Camp Virginia, Kuwait, supporting Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, you did logistics, right? I think I read
Yeah.
it in your bio.
Yes, logistics. We were at the MCT in Balad.
Nice.
It was called Anaconda.
Mhm.
And then the second deployment was in Baghdad. So all
What
those
years were you
Camp
there?
Victory, Camp. The first time it was from 2005 to 2006. The second time was 2009, 2010.
Okay, 2010. I lived in Kuwait. We were on
Oh,
Camp Virginia, so you
you
transitioned
probably,
through whenever you
you're,
came home.
you're probably one of the ones that brought us home.
Yeah, that's what we did. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, my background in the military is logistics as well. I actually started as a watercraft operator, which is the best job in the Army. And then
Nice.
when I went to college, I commissioned into the Transportation Corps. And then I eventually, as a captain, you rebranch multifunctional logistician. So logistics was pretty much my background there,
Yeah.
the deployment wasn't really logistics related. It was more management, but it was
Mm.
still a pretty good experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And what inspired you? So I think if I have this right, Stephanie, you were first in the industry and then sort of recruited Bryan. Is that right?
Yes. So basically, I got in the industry 2011. I've been a broker pretty much the entire time, and my entire career, my husband Bryan kept saying, "You need to go into management. You need to do this. You need that. You need to grow." Because I was a trainer, a senior agent with our agency, and I said, "I do not want to be in corporate America. I do not want a management job with these people. Like I know once I go to that corporate side, I'm not." That's not me. That's not me. So, 2020, when COVID hit, things really changed. Thinking started changing, and where I was working, management changed, retired, and I just knew it was time to go independent on my own. So I did. Did that for about a year, and then my husband decided he's like, you need to open up your own agency, and I said I do, but I can't do it by myself. I can't do it by myself. We got 2 kids at home. I got a book of business, 1,000 clients plus. There's no way I can open up an agency on my own. You need to leave the sheriff's office. And that was a really hard, I think, for Bryan, because he like always knew that military or law enforcement 9 to 5, well, not really 9 to 5, 9 to 9, 12-hour, 24-hour shifts, but it really solidified. I already opened the agency, but we got hit by Hurricane Ian head on in September of 2022. And at that point, he was like, I'm done. I'm going to get my insurance license and work with you full time. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun job, and like I said, for almost 17 years, that's what I did. And it was a fun job until it wasn't. And that type of job, when it's not fun anymore, it's time to go. So, the hurricane here really played a big part in my decision, and some things are more important than the job you're doing, and it's time. I just had to put that effort into the family instead of the job, and coming to work with your wife is, for some people it's a curse. For me, I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, my husband and I work together as well in insurance, so I get that. I'm curious, who handles what as far as the agency?
I handle all the training. I handled most of the hiring as well, and vetting of hiring. Bryan basically does all of the back end stuff. He does all of our contracting. He does all of our not social media, I'm sorry, website design, talking to the agents, making sure they're on board for contracting, making sure they're getting the new companies they need. And he wasn't supposed to be a selling agent. There at no point was he ever planning on being a selling agent. My hardcore rule with him was that you need to have a license and need to have an understanding of what we sell so that we can really be there for our agents. And he ended up selling like 100 ACA plans this last season because we were just so darn busy. He's like, I was never made to sell.
Yeah, I turned into the ACA guy for us. Which I actually do enjoy it. It's easy, right? Once you learn it, it's pretty easy, and I enjoy that part. So I actually am enjoying. I've always liked talking to people. Being out, not sitting behind a desk. So getting out there and talking to people is a lot more fun than I originally anticipated it to be. And then the satisfaction of like solving that problem and figuring out what they need. That's pretty fun for me. I like the puzzle of it. So, but yeah, so like Stephanie said, my normal job is more the back end administrative stuff and sales on the side. And I guess you're more sales and back end on the side.
Yeah, I have a huge book of business, so I just maintain my.
You got to humble brag.
Yeah, I've just been doing it for so long. When you're in Medicare, that's a very needy book of business that you have to keep working with every single year. You can't just put them to the side because I opened the agency up. So
yeah. But
we're
I
working
think
on weaning right here. We're working on getting our agents, to take over some of the book here. It's what we're working on in 2024.
Yeah, I think our goal is to stop selling so much and get more into the management side. But right now, a lot of our agents are still newer and they have those questions, right? And they're still growing their book of business. And as agency owners, you guys know, if your people aren't making money and you're not making money, then you're not making any money. So we have to still concentrate on selling ourselves as well as training up them.
And you're focused in the Medicare space, is that right?
No. So my main focus has always been Medicare, final expense, all the auxiliary products. But we have contracts for all the ACA carriers as well, short-term carriers. We do a lot of work in life insurance and annuities. Reason actually why I opened SBG up was because I know what my niche is, and I know I'm really good at it. And I know I can go out there and sell an IUL. I know I can go out there and sell an annuity. But am I the best person for that? So my idea is to get a team of really good specialists so that when we get clients who really need, have different needs, we can pass them on to people that are really specializing in those niche products. So yeah, we do it all, but we're still growing and evolving.
It definitely health based though, right? Like Medicare is obviously your baby. I have did a pretty good amount of ACA stuff, and like you always say, health is wealth in this business. It's the foot in the door that gets you everything else. So
Yeah, that is true. And Bryan, what would you say is one of the biggest lessons you've learned so far, like during that transition from two totally different world, or from a totally different world?
that's actually a pretty tough one. The toughest lesson that I learned so far, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. It does take a certain amount of discipline to get up every day and go to work for yourself when there's nobody like putting their thumb on you, telling you to go get into an office. And it can be pretty tempting to just spend that extra 30 minutes in bed and maybe not do anything for the day. The bank doesn't like it when you don't pay the bills, though. So that's the motivator.
Yes, that is true. Do you feel like the discipline that you used in the military and in your former experience, does some of that correlate and translate to what you're currently doing now?
100%. Yeah, the military really instills that personal responsibility and accountability, which is what you need in order to be your own boss. You can't really, nobody's going to make you go do something, and that's something that we really stress to our agents, is that we're not your boss, right? We're your partner, so we're not we're not forcing you to do anything. And that the military and the other law enforcement background, mostly the military because not as much, they instill in you that drive that you can do this, that do these things for yourself. Like don't wait for somebody to tell you what to do. Go do it. You know what needs to be done, just get it done.
Right. And Stephanie, what would you say? Because I know you said you've been doing this since 2011. What are some of the challenges that you've encountered throughout the step of your career?
I think before I opened the agency up, I knew I can sell pretty much to anybody, really good at finding people, their needs, and figuring out the plan for them. My biggest struggle with owning an agency is really learning the people of like the agents and how to tailor their training around them and their personalities. Because, I might learn one way, but they might need a whole nother way of learning. And I really got to take the time to know my agents, to talk to them. I annoy the crap out of them probably because I text them like every other day if I don't hear from them, and say, what do you need? What are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna do this? So really like learning what to look for in agents that want to come on, and really look to watch out and really try to learn the different personalities because we're all so different. And it's not a one size fits all, especially in this business. It's hard. It's a hard business, and anybody can do it, but you just gotta have the right mind and the right support behind you. So that's my goal, is just to become the best support system I can be for the agents. So that's my biggest challenge.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what would you say keeps you both, either, because we always say here, like, motivation is fleeting, right? And a lot of times it's based on how you feel, but what keeps you driven to succeed?
Because failure is not an option.
I love that.
I love it.
I mean, we both have that mindset, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah.
we both have succeeded in everything we've done, and not to sound arrogant, and definitely we've had, our losses and times we didn't win and, fell on our butt. Like, we've all done that. But because I have a huge vision. I have a huge vision for this, how big I want to get and what I want to be here for our community. So as long as I keep that vision, some days it's hard. I feel like we're just taking steps forward, even their little tiny baby steps every day. We're making those steps. I don't know, Bryan, what do you feel?
Yeah, like you said, failure is not really an option for us. Like literally, they say don't put all your eggs in one basket, but this is our basket right now. So we can't just let it go. right?
Yeah.
This is something that we have to just will to succeed. And when you will something to succeed, it takes a lot for it to fail. As long That's the way I'm
Yeah.
looking at it.
I think your concept is you guys pretty much burned your boats, right? You guys burned your boats, and this is it. There's no way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I have no intention on going back to the careers I had before. I like being my own boss. I like not having to listen to anybody that I didn't already have to listen to, anyways. So I don't want to go back to necessarily having somebody tell me when to be in an office and what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I realized you got like you got a job offer. He has a really big investigative background and got a job offer, and it was some ridiculous like 250,000 a year, but you'd be traveling full time and all that. And he's like, nope, nope, nope. This is better. This is nope. Be making that in another year. Like no big deal. I'm like,
Yeah, I
oh,
mean, it
you're
was a
really
great
committed. Good.
opportunity. It would have been a great opportunity, but it doesn't align with the long term goal. Like I don't want to be traveling all over the country. If we're traveling all over the country visiting, people or whatever, that's great. But I don't want to be off doing something, separating myself from the family any more than I already have to be. So
Yeah.
And one of the things we always talk about here is work-life balance or lack thereof. A lot of people chuckle at that concept because they're like, what even is that? But it's unique for couples. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges that you think
I'm going to take
you
that one
face?
if you don't mind, Steph.
Yeah, if you can go over maybe some of the challenges you think you face working together and then how you kind of overcome that. Your parents, your business partners, and you're married, right? So how do you kind of juggle all
Yeah.
that?
So work never stops, and I've learned that now. I used to roll my eyes because every time we would go out to dinner or go have date night or whatever, she's finding a way to talk to somebody about insurance, and it's not necessarily wasn't on purpose. Like she didn't necessarily go looking for it, but that's just one of those things that happen, right? Like and you'll mention all the time, like one of your best clients is somebody we met when we were just having dinner and at the tequila bar there. So next thing he's doing a lot of business with us. So, and this is before I was in the business, is when she came in with him, and when she first talked to him, I was like, oh, come on, we're on date night, why are we talking about this right now? Because it wasn't my life back then, and I didn't necessarily fully understand what it really involved. But now that I've been in it, and this organization is not just it's a part of us; it's a part of our relationship. There really is no separation between us and our business. We are the business. And when we have date night, it normally turns into one of us talking to somebody about buying some insurance. So we've actually made clients that way. So the great thing is we get to write off date night now, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Yes. Yes. I was just about to say it's okay. She has to talk about it. That makes it a tax write-off. So you're
Yeah.
good.
Oh my gosh.
We've
Yeah.
made a pretty good amount of clients just paying attention to other conversations because when we go out to dinner, now our kids don't want to pay attention to us anymore because they're
Of
teenagers.
course.
So we get to go to dinner by ourselves now, which is great. So we normally just sit at the bar at the restaurant instead of taking up a table and dealing with that whole thing. And we always end up talking to other people next to you because that's the social aspect of it. And Stephanie's done a pretty good job of bringing in clients that way. So
I'm just curious, personality wise, are you both introvert, extroverts, or is one the
introverted.
other?
I'm extroverted.
Okay.
Mm,
That's pretty common, and there's a
yes.
good balance there. I feel like it works. It's the same with my husband. My husband will walk into an elevator, and it's like he's looking around to have a conversation with someone, and I'm like in my phone. Don't look at me. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm the nicest person, but people are like, "Geez, she's so mean. Like she doesn't want to make eye contact." It's because I'm introverted. Whereas he's like, "Hey, nice hat," or "Great shoes," or if someone's got like a sports
Yes.
jersey on, and forget it, there's the conversation. So he is the type that would
Yeah.
sit at the bar and have dinner where I'm like, no, I'd prefer the booth, which is so funny because I'm in sales and people think that like that's not my personality. But for me, it's like sales is showtime. And then outside of that,
Yes.
I'm totally different, sort of.
Yes.
You
I think
definitely
I'm the same.
you definitely need a break sometimes. Like
Hmm.
I think maybe maybe you more than me sometimes, Steph. Like you have weekends where you're like, we've been go. We've been talking to people. I don't want to go out and do stuff on Saturday. We're just going to sit on the couch and watch TV. And sometimes on those weekends, I'm like, no, we still need to go out and have date night and go do fun stuff. And maybe I am a little more extroverted, especially when I'm comfortable. But I consider myself an introvert at heart.
Okay, and what would you say is a milestone or maybe some of the successes that you are most proud of?
I think some of the business milestones or successes that we've seen, especially at being newer, is watching our new agents learn and develop. We have some of them that we brought on with absolutely little or no experience, and now they're out there actually running entire sales calls all by themselves. And next thing you know, we're seeing business transmittal forms come through, and they're being done right. So I think that's one of the most rewarding things I think that I've seen so far. As far as that goes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, and then I've been in the industry for such a long time, and there's a lot of people that I used to work with at my old agency, and coming around them, and they know what we've done, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe you're doing this. Like, this is great, and these were people that had been in the business longer than me. And when I started the business, I was the kid of the office. I was 27. So everyone was so much older than me. So having those peers and, now seeing what we're doing and the moves we're making and, how the community is receiving us. And another thing that happened to me too was like about 6 months ago, I came into contact with somebody who had been in the business in the past and no longer in the business, retired, completely out. And I was just handed over the entire book of business by that person because they know what we're doing, what we're getting into, and the magnitude of what we're doing. And that was like a moment where I shed a tear or two. Definitely shed a tear when that happened.
I think the real reason why you got it is because they knew that you would treat the clients right.
Yes.
They knew that if they handed the clients over to you, that they would be serviced. Nobody's going to try to rip them off or sell them something they didn't need.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome, that trust that they gave you. And how long had they been in the business before they handed over that book of business to you?
They had been in the business for over 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. But they didn't own their book of business where they were at, really. So it wasn't like they didn't own an agency. They just worked for the agency, and unfortunately that agency wasn't going to take care of the clients and service the clients like we do in our agency atmosphere. So
yeah, so it's not as good as like somebody just handing you a bunch of like policies that are being paid, like, but it was just a crap ton of leads, just a crap ton of really good leads. So
yeah.
That's awesome. That is definitely awesome. And who would you say has been a source of support or maybe even mentors that have kind of been instrumental for you guys?
You go first, Bryan.
So like a mentor, really, like, obviously, as I'm learning and growing into business, Stephanie is kind of a mentor, especially when it comes to sales and product knowledge. So I guess I definitely learned a lot from her. There's been a lot of people over the years that I've taken some leadership styles from, good and bad. Across the military stuff, the prior jobs, there's been a lot of opportunities to really work with some really great leaders. Can think of a couple of them off the top of my head that just, their leadership style impacts me still to this day. But really for like business wise, it's, definitely Stephanie as far as like, how to actually get out there and sell insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I've said this so many times, I wouldn't be where I am in my product knowledge and my ability to train agents and everything if it wasn't for my previous job, my previous agency, and that local ownership that I had. Now since that local ownership is gone, and unfortunately my mentor passed away of cancer a couple of years ago. So that's why we opened up the agency. I don't know if I mentioned that before. So yeah, he was a huge support for me. And I also do have a couple other agents here that I have known my entire career that don't necessarily work with us, but they are a big part of our life that I can call up and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Am I on track here? Don't do that a lot, but every once in a while, it's good to hear it from somebody else's mouth that
And they call you too. Like, it's not just a one-way street. So
yeah, and they do call me too, which is nice for us all to have that kind of relationship. So
have that support. It's crucial. And how do you guys envision your business making an impact on your community? Is one question. And then Steph, I know you talked a little bit about kind of like how big you want to make this and where you kind of envision this going. So can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah. So ideally, when I first opened up SBG, I just wanted to be the resource for the community. I wanted to, as I've always been, I've lived in my community here my entire life. I grew up in this community, born and raised. So I wanted to make a bunch of me. I wanted to train a bunch of people like me to go out there and do really good things for people, specifically on the Medicare side, right? So that's why we opened SBG. And that's what I really, really harp on our agents, because they're all over. They're not just in my community. They're in their own communities and a couple of different states even. And I say, we get into the chambers, we get into the food banks, we get into the churches. You be that face for these people because these people need somebody. They need somebody good and they need somebody who's trustworthy. So that's huge. So that is one way that was the number one goal, is to make that impact locally. But long term, seeing our agents build teams of their own, that's my next big goal is, getting some of our team members into getting their own teams and eventually building their own agencies and, just supporting them however, which way we can support them is, and I know that support's going to change. I tell them, the level of support changes so much from, month 1 to month 100 or however long it is, but whatever we can do for them and be that support system for them, we will be. So.
I think you really hit on something special there, Steph. Like, we do try to be in the community, and not just like in the community, like in the big ritzy neighborhoods, but honestly, we're in the low income housing areas. We're in those parts of the community. Those are the parts that really need what we provide the most, especially in the senior population. I don't know if we talked about it earlier, but we had a situation where you rolled into a bunch of clients from a doctor's office and none of them knew they were dual eligible, until they started talking to us. They were on Medicare and they were on traditional, not traditional, but Medicare Advantage plans, and had no idea they were eligible for extra benefits until we sat down and talked with them. And, when you do stuff like that, like, that's really helping people. It's at that point, it's not even about, the money that you make from it, but just great things that you can do to, put an extra $260 in somebody's pocket, or, the food card or whatever it is. That's a lot for a lot of people, especially in our area.
Yeah. That's true.
And that's been huge, actually. You bring that up. That's been huge because our area got hit really hard with Hurricane Ian a couple of years ago. So we still have a lot of people displaced and temporary housing and trailers and everything. And, when you have a grown man cry on you, that's hard. It's really, really hard. But you feel good. It's a feel good thing, because they're like, I didn't know I got this. No one told me I got this.
And we're even doing it on the under 65 side too with Marketplace. We have a lot of rich people in our community, but we have a lot of people that don't have a lot. And when you can put them on a Marketplace plan that for $0 and they're getting a 97% cost sharing reduction, like that, they're like, oh my God, I have real health insurance. I can go to the doctor now. Like, I can go get everything taken care of that's been broken for all these years. And just nobody ever talked to them about it before until people like us get in those communities.
Yeah. I spoke to a Medicare agent recently, and he said, to your guys' point, he's like, when you speak to someone who hasn't been able to go to the dentist in years because they didn't know this was available, they're out of, like, rephrase that, you're allowing them to now go get their teeth fixed or whatever the case may be. You're taking them out of physical pain, but there's also that, like, the confidence boost that they're going to get, right? If they're able to fix their smile, or you're helping with so much more than that. The anxiety, the social anxiety of not wanting to leave because your smile is horrible, or because you can't afford dentures, and you didn't even know that dentures were covered. So yeah, you do make a really big impact in many ways.
I had just the other day, I did one, and the lady was so happy she's going to be able to actually get her teeth fixed before her family reunion. Like she wasn't going to be able to do that before. So
yeah, that's awesome. So now she'll smile in those pictures confidently, so
yeah.
And all of that through insurance. So you would
Yeah.
never think that it would go that deep. There is something that I wanted to ask you, because I think that's something you mentioned before that is pretty unique. Is you said that you start your agents, if I'm not mistaken, you start them as, what you call it, LOs?
LOAs.
LOAs?
Yeah.
Like, what does that stand for?
License only agent. It just means that they all the commissions run through us, but we can protect their book of business that way. And a lot of people listening to this, LOA has a bad term with some agencies, because some agencies unfortunately take their LOAs and pay them peanuts. They actually pay them peanuts. But our idea is we start there. We can protect their book of business. They keep their book of business from day one with us. And then we have different levels for them. After they make a certain amount of clients, they go up to a next level. A certain amount of clients, they go to the next level. And then that third level tier is them building their own agency.
Nice.
Their own
I think there's some positive things about that for both parties involved, right? Because if you're learning and you're brand new, the commission only scares people a lot about these types of jobs. So for them to have a set hourly or salary, I don't know how you guys do it, but I think that's attractive to people, right?
So we're definitely still commission only, at least at this point. Maybe one of these days we'll be able to, work a couple hourly people in there. But it's the level of dedication from us that they're getting.
Yes.
It's a lot for somebody coming in that has no idea what they're doing. We're going to these appointments, and we're not, we're sitting with them, for these appointments, teaching them how to do it, and they're still getting the commission for it. We're not cutting them out of that or anything like that. So
yeah, we don't get anything from that except for the little bit of split that we do with them.
Right.
And we give them bonuses, and we have trips that we bonus them with, and things like that. So if they're out there working, and on the other side, for us, and what our mission is to protect the client. So them being LOA, if it doesn't work out with an agent, which unfortunately not all agents work out, we have that client's information, and we have that ability to have that client's book, so that we can match that client with the best agent for them, because we never want a client to be without an agent. Unfortunately, that happens too much in this business. We've all seen it. Humana, Aetna, United, they all hire a bunch of people during AEP, OEP, and then they're not here in February. So that way, our agents, our clients can be rest assured that no matter what, you're going to have an agent, no matter what. Agents don't leave, but reality is not business for everybody. So.
And some people have left, and it is no hard feelings. Those are your clients. Go service your clients. We're not telling there's no non-compete with us. There's nothing like that. So if things don't work out, things don't work out. Good luck wherever you go next, and go ahead and take your clients with you. It is what it is.
Oh, okay. So you're giving them the option to take their clients.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have a non-compete or a non-solicit or anything like that. So if somebody leaves, they can take them.
Gotcha. I like these tips. This is a little bit of a segue to we're going to actually be talking about how to expand your business. So I think that people will get value from that as well. I wanted to touch on that. really quickly. And before we finish up, if you can share, whoever wants to go first, a tip, tool, or resource that you would not mind sharing with our audience. Again, this can be anything from mindset, tips for a veteran that wants to transition, mentorship. I will leave this up to you guys.
Yeah, especially for the veteran community, it doesn't matter if you serve for 2 years or 20 years, you've developed, leadership skills, problem solving skills, motivation that you don't really get a lot of other places. And especially transitioning into a field like this, those things, that self-starter mentality really goes a long way here. And I'd say if transitioning into this type of job, like take that, use that, don't, you're used to getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and going to work. You're going to do that here too. Take that motivation that you had for that and roll it into this. And we found that the people who work this like their job, because it is a job, they're the ones being successful, right? Those people that lack that self-drive, that self-motivation, they're unfortunately the ones that don't do as well, especially off the bat when you're still just trying to get the business going. So that'd be my number one thing. And then also take the leap, right? Like it's hard. It's really scary to make that jump from one career to the next. And I've been at it now about a year and a half, and I'm glad I did it. Not looking back. We were just talking about this the other day. Like, do I want to go back to the old job? Would I go back to the old job? And I was like, no, I really don't have any desire to go back to the old job. This is where I feel like I got to be right now, and it was worth the risk. It is worth the risk to move into something like this. You just have to commit yourself to it.
Yeah, it's hard, I think that people get into this business thinking it's going to be easy, and it's not, but it's not hard either, right? It's different. I've trained agents since like 2012, 2013 is when I started training agents. So seen a lot of agents go and be really successful, and I see a lot of agents fizzle. Right. So like Bryan said, if an agent treats this like a job and gets up and has a schedule and has a plan, they're going to be successful. Unfortunately, so many people get into this business just thinking, and I interview a lot of these people too, that you're just going to get handed this. This is going to be handed to you, and this is going to be handed to you, and every lead, your lead, someone has better leads than another because some agency somewhere is telling them this, right? It's all about what you're putting into it, and it does really start with a positive mindset. I know that I was told a long time ago, if you walk into work and, you have negative feelings, you have a negative mindset, it might be better just go and take the day off, right? We can't do that often, right? But you have to have a positive mindset. That negative mindset will just cripple you, and it will go quick. It will be very, very quick. So, do whatever you have to do. Do you have to go blast a bunch of music? I'm known, and Bryan doesn't really run a lot of appointments with me. He has now that he's working with me, but I used to blast music, just Pitbull or whatever, to just kind of ramp myself up, right? Especially those days that you just feel that low energy, because if you go into an appointment low energy, everyone around you is going to feel it. So you got to find what works for you, and positive mindset. Use YouTube, use books, use podcasts. And surround yourself with those positive people. I know we have really decreased our circle over the last few years, really got rid of anybody negative or anybody who was like a downer, and really just surround ourselves with our friends and our family that support us and in everything that we do. So even our crazy, quit your job and open up an agency.
I mean, there really are so many resources out there for somebody trying to get, like your podcast, for instance, is a great one. And there's great people on YouTube. Some of them are just trying to sell you their, whatever it is they're trying to sell. But even in those ones, there's little nuggets of information that you can take out and make useful for yourself. So
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Positive mindset, especially when you're on the phone, right? Because
you can get cussed out, and you got to do something to change your brain before that next call. If not, you're taking all that aggression into that call.
I'm going to share something, and I wasn't planning on sharing this, but I went to a training and a couple of days ago, and I'm not a phone guy. Like, obviously in my old job, I was on the phone, but like people didn't really want to talk to me then either. But, one part of the training was a dial session, like for just an hour straight, dial and, try to set appointments. And I did not do that good because that's, not what we do a lot of. But it was scary at first, like kind of making that first dial and being like, hey, how you doing? You want to buy some insurance? Or, and of course everybody's like, no, I'm busy. And I'm like, oh God, okay. But, by the third or fourth time, I was like, okay, this isn't so bad. What the worst thing that happens is they hang up on me. And I did not set an appointment, but there was a girl in that class. So there was a girl in the class. She was, pretty new to the industry. But she listened to what they said, and she set 3 appointments in an hour. Just follow the instructions and dialing the numbers. Man, that's impressive. Like, I wasn't able to do it, but you can do it. And I think I might have got off a little bit of tangent, but that's, it was a great experience outside of your comfort zone. And even if you don't think you can do something, you can do it. It can be done.
Yeah, I love that. Don't reinvent the wheel, right? Follow the steps that are given.
Yep.
And your mind is powerful. It can be powerful for a positive way or powerful for a negative way. So be aware.
That is true. I love that. Thank you guys so much for those.
Thanks for listening to Women Insurepreneurs. We hope you feel inspired and equipped for your journey in the insurance industry. Subscribe for more empowering conversations and connect with us on Instagram at Women Insurepreneurs. Make sure you join our meetup group so you don't miss any of our events. Until next time, keep shining and pursuing your dreams. Remember, your potential knows no bounds.